Once again, Gerald Brown, another episode of Heavy in the Paint. Make sure you subscribe. And you know what? It's an honor and a privilege to have this brother on here. It's words that I could use to describe him. I'm going to start with diehard Knicks fan. I'm going to also start with lyricist. And what he is an MC, not MC, EMCEE. If you don't know what that is, you don't know what hip hop. He is the legendary one. SkyZoo joining me heavy in the paint. SkyZoo, always a pleasure, my brother.
Yeah.
How you been?
Oh man, I appreciate you, man. Love is love. Everything is good, man. Just rocking and rolling and happy about my team, happy about where things are. And of course, honored to be here with you, brother.
Wow, the pleasure's all mine. So I got to ask you, we're coming off of this All-Star weekend. Obviously, everybody's disappointed. Or I shouldn't say everybody, but somewhat disappointed by the All-Star game itself. As a whole, let's work backwards and stuff. What were your thoughts on the Saturday festivities, dunk contest, the skills challenge, and all this stuff?
Yeah.
Free-point contest.
As a kid, man, we was just talking off the record about being young and watching the OGs and all them play. As a kid, man, All-Star Weekend was everything. Everything. 3-point contest. Of course, the dunk contest was the highlight of Saturday. And, the game, and now I think it's just taken such a back seat to everybody's brands. I think it's two things. One, everybody's brand, and everybody is homies. And I think those are the issues with it. If you look at it from a brand standpoint, nobody want to be in a dunk contest because it's judged, right? So it's opinionated. That's why they have no problems getting people to sign up for the 3-point contest. Why? Because you make what you make. You know what I mean? If Trae Young or Dame or Jalen Brunson or whoever's in the 3-point contest, Cat and all them, yo, whatever you got, you got. Yo, he dropped 20, he dropped 26. It is what it is, right? So it just happens that way. It's on you and how you get busy. Somebody could go yam it, Aaron Gordon or something like that, and get rocked on the judging by a D Wade or somebody, like we saw years ago. And when it's opinionated and when it's judged, kind of like music, it's all opinionated, people lay off that. They're like, I don't want to put my brand and my name at risk because somebody didn't realize how great this was, or somebody saw that man who wasn't that great and put him up, And I think the best example was the Aaron Gordon joint with D Wade, but it was happening before that. But Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine was bringing it back. That dunk over the Magic mascot was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. Like, to this day, he didn't have to do anything after that ever again. Like, that was one of the greatest dunks ever. And I think that was the year when he didn't win. So, like, when you look at things like that, from a brand standpoint, Heads is like, I'm not doing that because, you can have anybody come in here and they get judged because they feeling some sort of way or whatever. And now I lost, and now my Nike or Adidas or whatever, my Gatorade or whatever thing take a hit in the public eye, right? And the kids that look up to you and that buy the product and want the autographs and jerseys and follow you online and all that, that might take a hit. At least that's what the players are thinking. I personally would go for it. Look at Mike. Look at Neek. Look at Kobe. Look at Vince. Go for it. You know what I mean? Look at Dwight Howard when he was in his prime, crushing. And then he let Nate Robinson use him as a prop to beat him. So go for it. But a lot of heads are scared of their brand. I think when it comes to the actual All-Star game, there never was a lot of defense because heads don't want to get hurt and you messing around and you playing. But the rule was always, all right, fourth quarter, we're going to buckle down and lock in. And I think it's just too many homies in the NBA. I think this era, the era that we're about to be out of, right? The LeBron, KD, Steph, that era's on the way out. It's about to be Ant Edwards, Ja, Zion, Halliburton. Of course, I'm going to rep my guys, Brunson. This new era that's coming in. So not speaking of them, but the era that's about to be on the way out, it was a lot of homies, man. It was a lot of, yo, you my man, so it's love, baby. It's love. I ain't going, it's love, baby. And so Heads is just, yeah, go ahead. You got it. Yeah, go ahead, man. Cole would have never. T-Mac would have never. Penny would have never. You know what I mean? And Mike, we know Mike would have never. No. You know what I mean? And I'm strictly talking about the All-Star game. So the people watching, I'm not talking about during the season and the playoffs. I'm talking about the All-Star game. Mike, Kobe, Penny, T-Mac, guys that went off, AI that went off in the All-Star games, they would have never. They'd been like, yo, you my man, but it's like when we was in the park growing up. I'm trying to kill you, you know what I mean? And it's too many homies nowadays, man. Everybody friends.
It's so funny that you make a great point of the fact is the observation of with the dunk contest where
Mm-hmm.
I had said when I was on air Saturday, and I said that it's interesting because we have lost like all the dunk contests for the most part always had an icon, a superstar
Yep.
attached to it. You go back, Dr. J, from Doc we had Michael, Dominique.
Yep.
Then you had a situation where it was after that it was Kobe, it was T Mac,
You
and
had
then
the youngins. You had Isaiah Ryder. You had
yeah,
Harold
yeah.
Miner.
But you had
It
a
was
star name, a star
right. Right.
power.
Absolutely.
It was a guy that really set the tone to say, if I could do it, if he doing it, I gotta be in it. We
Right.
lost a lot of that when LeBron decided not to do it. And
Absolutely.
it's
Absolutely.
I respect it, but I think that it took a severe hit because
Yeah.
at that point, then it became props and all this other stuff. And I'm not mad at anybody, but I was saying that I would think the dunk contest could come back to its once proper place if you had Ja Morant,
Mm-hmm.
Zion,
Zion.
and I'm gonna throw Ant-Man in there.
He
Throw those
definitely could. He definitely
those
could.
guys need to usher in the new era. And then, as far as you touched on, which was so true, it's opinionated, it's judged, and guys don't want to be embarrassed and stuff.
Right.
So I was looking at an interview. The late great rest in peace, Kobe Bryant said that he just said the same thing about guys were just like too cool and everything, but yet they would always get together at UCLA in the summertime
I saw that. I saw
and
that.
have
Yep. On
all these
Knuckleheads.
games, right? And it's like you do it there, but you're not doing it at the All-Star
Right.
game. But the difference is it's just. And it's funny, I want to get into the music space because I think that really explains a lot of things. As artists, you guys, it's always in a situation where you're setting yourself up to be judged. Unfortunately,
Right.
somebody's going to like your work or somebody's not. And sometimes that can be very, very difficult. And I never looked at it from that perspective in terms of just obviously, like you said, guys are too homey and nobody wants to
Yeah.
be embarrassed and stuff. But
Yep.
and you got throw Magic in there, Isaiah and all those guys when they would
Right.
just go at it and just say,
Yeah.
"Oh, like
They
come on,
went, man,
out
when Magic
here,
came back, that All-Star game, him and Isaiah, they went to war. You know what I mean? And what they did at the end, yo, brother, I love you, baby. I love you. Like, come on. Like, it's too, that's why I said this generation that's on the way out. And I'm only naming certain guys to represent the era I'm talking about. I'm not putting the blame on Steph or anybody like that. But this generation of Steph, Katie, Bron, all of them, they're on the way out. They're all 35 and up. They got a couple more years and they're gone. And I think it's up to the Shea Gilgis and the Ants and all, and that's why I like the fact that Ant-Man and Shea Gilgis is going at it. There's a little rivalry starting where they don't really rock with each other on the court. That don't mean they got beef and afterwards it's going to be an issue that the NBA has to worry about. No, it's the competitive nature, the competition of sport. And I like the fact that Anthony Edwards and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander kind of button heads a little bit. Or you got Chet Holmgren and Wemby. Wemby just got here. He's been here 2 days and he already got an enemy. You know what I mean? Like, I like that. Like, yeah, let them look forward to it and battle each other and go to war because as close as Mike is with Oakley or Mike and Pat, when they played each other, Mike wanted to take people domes off. Like Mike wasn't having it. You know, you saw Scotty yam it and step over Ewan, and of course, I hated that as a New Yorker and a Knicks fan. But like, I respected the competitive element of it, of the blood, sweat, and tears. Like you saw the Pacers and the Knicks going to war. Nobody had no problems afterwards, but it was like, I don't want to be friends for 48 minutes. I want to rip your heart out. I want to rip your heart out too. Let's go.
yeah,
You know what I mean? That's what it was about. And that gave us the greatest moments. And that's why people always go back to the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, AI and them battling Kobe and the Lakers. And now AI, the way he talks about Kobe is as if they was family. It wasn't no hate there. It was just, we on the court. I'm the best from where I'm from. You the best from where you from. Let's go. Let's see what it is. That's what it's supposed to be. And this era, this generation that's getting ready to go out, but bunch of homies, man. Braun and Katie and all them. That whole wave. We all homies, baby. It's love, baby. No, you play a little bit. I'll play. You play. It's cool, baby. It's cool. Nah, man. Nothing's cool. This is sport competition, man. Let's go.
yeah. Well, you know what? Being that obviously diehard Nick fan, and
Yeah.
I've been really in a sense giving it to a lot of the Nick fans, recently, because I tried to understand this, and maybe you can help me understand this. Jalen Brunson, arguably, is the best free agent signing the Knicks have ever had. Agree or disagree, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I'm
Jalen,
saying that because everybody know I'm a Melo guy through and through. Melo is my man, and he's the
he was
homie
traded.
personally. But Melo was a trade.
He was
That's
traded.
why, because
Traded.
people hear that and they be like, "Yo, what about Low? What about Low?" And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Well, technically, Low was a trade. You know what I mean? So
trade.
you got to talk Brunson, Amari. You got different guys, but Melo was a trade. So yes, absolutely.
So if he was the best and has been the best, he's been unbelievable.
Yep,
You mean to tell me New York City, Mecca, greatest city on earth, no disrespect
absolutely.
to all the other beautiful, wonderful cities.
Now we got it.
How could the New York Knicks fan base not vote Jalen Brunson in as a starter when
Mm,
you had Damian Lillard come from Portland,
yep,
goes to Milwaukee,
and
and
get
he
it right
has a
away.
starting spot? That's my problem with the Knicks fans. And I said, that,
Hmm.
you know what? They got to have some accountability. Can
I
you
agree
speak on that,
100%.
SkyZoo? Speak on that.
I agree 100%. I do think we came out for Jalen. I think as a whole, it wasn't enough based on everywhere else, right? Like if you look at Dame, like if you look at Jalen Brunson is making up ground. He's making up for lost time because he just got on people's radars, right? Dame's been on people's radars for 9, 10 years. Dame has won 3-point contests, been an all-star multiple times. He lives in a State Farm commercial. He lives in a beverage commercial, Adidas commercials. Jalen Brunson is still getting all that going. It's like he's new to it. Even though he's been in the league a couple years now, he's 26, 27. It's like he's just getting that shine and that light. Dame's been doing this and getting that light. And we'll speak on him specifically because he was the one everybody felt there should have been a switch with. Dame's been in that light for 9, 10 years now. Dame's been Team USA. Dame's been highlight reels. And that's one thing when it comes to Jalen Brunson that I love Jalen Brunson. I think he's phenomenal point guard, phenomenal player for us, and he is the best free agent we've had signing that we've had in forever. When you think about people who, if you're not a diehard Knicks fan and you're just a casual fan, or you're an NBA fan but you don't follow the Knicks, you follow the Heat, you follow the Blazers, whoever it may be, what do you know about the Knicks if you're not in New York? So if Jalen Brunson isn't a highlight machine, you're not going to be privy to him. Dame is a highlight machine in the sense of every night he's dropping a buzzer beater from half court and tapping his wrist. Dame time. Like that's not Jalen Brunson's arsenal yet. Now he's been proven that he can become a highlight guy in totality, right? There's no ESPN top 10 play of him cracking somebody's ankles. But what you do have is the fact that every night he's dropping 30. Every night he's dropping 35. Then he's dropping 40. Then he's dropping 29 and hitting the buzzer beater. So you have the totality of what he's doing. But there are no highlight reels of, yo, he cracked somebody or he yammed it or something like that. There is none of that because that's not his game. His game is efficiency and consistency. And at the end of the day, that's what you need to win. So whether he's a highlight reel or not, if he bring us a chip, that's all that matters to me, But when you talk about the voting, and a lot of it is kids, a lot of it is junior high and high school and even elementary kids, they're just looking at the highlights. When I was growing up, I was a Penny guy, as you know. Penny was everything, still is. And as efficient and consistent as Penny was a highlight guy. 6'7", yamming it, crossing heads over, throw it behind his back, jump in the air, throw it over his shoulder to Shaq yamming. He was the ESPN Sports Center guy every night, and that's what made him so popular with us and made me make a record like Penny jerseys and all that 20-something years later because he defined our generation. That's not Jalen Brunson's game. But I do think voting-wise, I think we did show up. I just think it wasn't enough because you had the city, but then you got everywhere else. And with Dame, you had everywhere else that pulled up for him because you saw the media voted him in, the coaches voted him in, but it was these little kids. Like Jalen Brunson ain't in no commercials, right? He's
That,
not hitting, shooting from 40 like Steph. He's not doing none of that. He's just consistent and he's efficient. And he's giving you 30 and 9 a night, which is incredible. Those is MVP numbers. But there's nothing he's doing that's gonna be Sports Center number one. And that's not a knock. That's just not his game. His game is, yo, I gave heads 30 and 9 last night and we won. I'll take that game. Let's go. Like, I'll
what?
take that.
I'll give you a pass on that because I was saying this is New York City. This is New
Hmm.
York. And
Yeah.
the fact is that somebody from Milwaukee and Portland, but you
Right.
make a great case. And when you
I
talk
think we pulled up for him. I do think. I think if there was a way to look at the voting numbers from the fans, I'm pretty sure 75% of them would be from New York. I think we pulled up. I just don't think it was enough because if you're not a diehard Knicks fan, you really don't know who Jalen Brunson is. Whereas I've never been a Blazers fan. I'm not a Bucks diehard fan or none of that, but I know who Dame is. Everybody do. You know what I mean? So like we know who Spider is, we know who Embiid is, we know who the Joker is, we know who Luca is, and but if you're not in New York, you may not know who Jalen Brunson is because of his style of play. It's not a highlight thing. He's not wowing you every night. He's wowing you with the fact that at the end of the night, we came back down from 15. We won by 10. He dropped 30 and 9. That's his highlight.
and I respect you for that. When you said something, it was really interesting. You talked about efficient consistency, and I gotta
Hmm.
say, we switch over to music. Your catalog, brother, is nothing but efficient and consistency.
Thank you, man.
Joints from Minor to Saint, a Minor to Saint, and then Metropolitan, all stuff. What has been the key? And I think, like you said before, which was interesting, because that's what it is, art.
Yeah.
When you sit down and doing this art, is it a situation when you put it, like, why are you putting this art out there? Obviously, aside from everything else, what's the main reason that SkyZoo? Because you're a phenomenal ghostwriter and all that other stuff, but what's the main reason that sparks your interest to keep putting out great music like you do?
Well, first off, I appreciate the segue and how you feel about my catalog, man. And for me, it's what I was put here to do. It's my purpose. I started rhyming when I was 9. And at 9, it wasn't, hey, I mess around once in a while at a family reunion. It was no, I'm gonna do this when I grow up. It was that since I was 9 years old. And it's a responsibility. I feel like with great power and great art and talent comes the responsibility of you got this for a reason, right? You were blessed with this capability for a reason. Now it's time for you to use it. It's time for you to give back and put back into the world and do things that speak to people who can't speak for themselves, that represent people who aren't represented, that get the feelings and emotions out of people who have them and don't know how to get them out. It's all a responsibility. So for me, there's that importance of it. And it's something that I don't take lightly. I take it to heart. I cherish it. It means the world to me and I run with it. And I love creating. I love creativity and I love being able to tell stories, my stories, the stories of others and how they relate to mine and how they differ from mine. I love to tell stories. And I'm an MC, like straight up and down. I'm an MC and it's what I was born to do. I rhyme all day long when I realize when I don't even realize I'm rhyming. I have a thing where I'll say accidental rhyme because I'll be talking to somebody and we'll have a conversation. I'll say something in the very next sentence behind it, it'll rhyme. And I go, oh, my bad, accidental rhyme. You know what I mean? Like, so it's in my blood, 100%.
When you look at the state of hip hop, and obviously, you know, all that has happened and stuff like that, and I don't want to get into a situation and this is right and this is wrong, but let's make you, if you could, be the commissioner, kind of like in the NBA and
Mhm.
stuff. If you were the commissioner of hip hop, what would be some of the changes you would like to see take place?
Oh man, the first thing that would be is fans would not know who sold what. I
Mm.
think that was a huge detriment to hip hop. Fans being able to know who sold what. When I was young, my favorite year is 95. I think 95 was the greatest year ever for hip hop, for culture, for sports. Penny was running the world. The
Penny
Penny
Hardaway,
Ones was out.
Penny
Huh?
Hardaway. Yeah, just
Oh
saying
yeah,
Penny Hardaway.
absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Penny Hardaway was running the world. The music was incredible. The movies, fashion. 95 was the greatest, right? So in 95, when Liquid Swords came out by the Genius, and when Only Built for Cuban Links came out by Ray and Ghost, and Big had already came out a couple months earlier with Ready to Die, and Nas, Illmatic, and all that was already out and running around. We didn't know what they sold. All we knew was that it was dope. We knew this was great. This is great music. This is great hip hop. I gotta have this tape. I need the tape. I popped it. I need another one. I didn't know Illmatic didn't sell anything. I just knew Illmatic was the greatest thing I'd ever heard in 94. Like I didn't know what it sold, nor did I care. I didn't know what it meant to be gold or platinum. I just was a kid playing basketball, and the OGs was outside listening to it in the truck. And I was like, yo, and I went and got it, So the problem now, you got fans who, I mean, they're kids, man. They're 15, 16, and they're young, and they're dictating what they listen to based on the numbers it sold or the streaming numbers or the amount of followers this person has. And that's a huge detriment to the music. That's a huge detriment to the culture. Imagine a restaurant has the greatest food in the world, but they're not as popular as McDonald's. You could
Mm,
be missing out on some of the greatest food ever, but
yeah,
because they're not on commercials, there's no commercials for them 20 times a day and all that, like McDonald's. Nah, they no good. They come on, like think about it like that, right? So at the end of the day, that would be one of the things. Another thing would be, man, you've got to have the love for it first. A lot of people look at this as a way to just get out and change their situation, which is great, but that's all they look at it as. You don't have to be a rapper to change your situation. You could be a manager. You can be, you can start a label. You can be a booking agent. You can, all these different things. You can be a tour manager. You can do all these different things within music if you really weren't put here to put the pen to the pad. Because putting the pen to the pad is a different responsibility. Just like making beats, that's a different responsibility. And it's the biggest responsibilities within the chamber of hip hop. It's where it starts from. It's the bread and the butter. So there's a lot of different things, but those two for sure will be at the top of the list.
yeah, definitely. SkyZoo, you touched on something that our friend BJ Armstrong, uh,
Yeah, my brother.
uh, aficionado, we always get into it, and BJ and I talk about the fact is that there's a difference between rap and hip hop, just like a rapper and an MC. I
Yeah,
always say an MC like yourself, a lyricist, EMCE, E, and a rapper and stuff like that. That's a totally different a different lane, and that's no disrespect because when you are a MC, a lyricist, it's that's you. You
yeah,
create all that stuff.
absolutely.
Would you agree or disagree that when you look at hip hop as in totality, there's a difference between rap and hip and rappers and an MC and a lyricist?
I
MC
totally agree.
for one.
I totally agree. They're all within the same house, right, of hip hop, but an MC is somebody who literally lyricists go out there for the right reasons, the right agenda, the right intent, and is supremely talented and gifted with putting that pen down. A rapper is something a little more lighter spirited, and that's fine. We need that, right? We need those records. We need those moments of just, it may not be the most complex thing in the world, but the purpose and the agenda is to make us feel good or to party or whatever. Everyone isn't going to be able to sing like Mariah Carey or Aretha Franklin or Beyonce or Jennifer Hudson church vocals. Everyone's not going to be able to do that, right? Sometimes you need a whoever. Somebody may have a voice like a Janae Aiko. Somebody may have a voice like a you name them. And they're making great music that serves a great purpose and benefits us, but everybody's not going to be J Hud. Everybody's, that's a different type of time. So we need it all, but there is a difference. There is a difference between an MC and a rapper, no doubt.
When you just touched on something that was so interesting and stuff because yes, it is in the same house and people can't do certain things like you just mentioned those iconic individuals. Do you think that obviously in this I came up, we came up in an era where if you didn't write your own rhymes, you know what I'm
Right,
saying, like
right.
that was like I couldn't fathom and again our good friend BJ Armstrong, we always talk about the fact is that it's funny because hip hop is held to a different standard. Like you mentioned, Mariah Carey. Somebody might have wrote some of her biggest hits, but we always
Absolutely.
associate that with Mariah. But then when we have MCs and hearing their music, we look at it as a bad thing if they had somebody write it for them and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Do you think that's still that stigma there? And obviously, you're a ghostwriter and writing for people and stuff like that. Do you
Right.
think that people would have that same type of shame? Or like, really just like I wouldn't even say shame is the correct word, but
Yeah.
maybe that surprise if some of our favorite MCs didn't write their own stuff? Or is it accepted in this day and age of hip hop?
Well, I'm of the belief of there is a difference between writing your own material in hip hop versus all other genres, and I'll break it down. when you're an R&B singer, pop singer, whatever it may be, the things that you have to do as an artist and musically, right? It's about your voice, your vocals. It's about you dancing, depending on what type of time you're on. If you're in pop or if you're an Usher type R&B artist or whatever it may be, you can take a song. Babyface can write a song, give it to Tevin Campbell or give it to Tony Braxton or get. There's a difference in the voice and things like that because as a singer, it's about your actual voice. It's about how you sound, how you can hit these notes versus those notes and the octaves and the different things that you can do vocally. And then sometimes you add dance into that, like a Beyonce, like a Usher, like a, whoever they may be. In hip hop, you got one job: spit this rap. So if you're not even writing what you're spitting, we're not asking you to sing like Usher. We're not asking you to sing like Beyonce or Mariah Carey or Whitney Houston. We're not asking you any of that. You literally are writing about your story, your experiences, or how you're feeling, or what you're aspiring to be, and you rhyming it, you spitting it. That's it. So that's why there is a difference in that. I am of the mind frame of there is a difference. Now, on the flip side, I'm a ghostwriter. So I love the fact that there's a lot of artists who don't write because I get hired for that and I write for people and I can afford the things that I have. So, for me, it's not even being caught in the middle. It's just knowing the way it works. There's certain artists, if you found out that they had help or had writers, it's like Santa Claus not being real, right? Like it would blow you away. Like if we ever, and of course these guys write everything, but Big, Jay, Nas, The Genius, Andre 3000, we would lose our minds. Like, yo, what's up? But then you got artists who they may not be looked at as the most lyrical and the greatest ever and et cetera, et cetera. They're just known for making dope records that you party to, that you groove to, that you whatever, whatever. And it's cool. It's like, well, I don't look at that person to be the nicest ever anyway. I look at them as somebody who contributed dope songs to hip hop for certain moments. Whereas if you have, like I said, a Big, a Jay, a Nas, a 3000, a Scarface, a Black Thought, those guys, you look at them like, nah, these are some of the greatest ever. Of course, they write everything. So if any of them didn't write, the world would end. Absolutely. There is that difference. And that's why people got to be careful when they rhyme and they make music and they talk about I'm the greatest and I'm the nicest and I'm the best and I'm top 10 and the greatest ever and all that. Because if you're not writing, you can't say all that. And those are the people that when they say those things and then it gets proven that they didn't write, then it's a catastrophe. Everybody's losing their mind. Yeah, because you sold yourself as the greatest thing ever, the nicest ever, and we believed it. So now when we find out that you didn't write or you got help on this, and the third, then it's a different type of time. Like I've never gotten help a day in my life, and I never will. As somebody who writes for other people, if the day ever came where I felt like what I was writing for myself wasn't up to my standard and my par, I'm walking away.
Mm.
I'm never gonna get help. And people can say, well, how you gonna be so against getting help, but you help other people? I absolutely can be like that because I am someone who's been writing my entire life. And I've been blessed to be able to work hard and build myself up as to be one of the nicest and one of the greatest, according to the people. That's the talent that I have. And I can't see myself going to somebody and being like, yo, man, I need some help on this, man. I don't got it like I used to, man. Can you write this verse for me? That's never, ever, ever gonna happen. If I ever get to that point, I'm just tapping out.
Yeah.
That's it.